What's up today, guys? Today we're on part 3 of the State to Race Kawasaki F7. Alright, so same day. We just had it running earlier. I let the smoke clear out because I started a couple times just to have some fun. Went and got the manual. So for the F7, I am supposed to turn it out 1.5 turns. I'm going to get a slightly smaller screwdriver than the one I've been using because that one was catching up on everything. This one isn't smaller, it's just longer. Guess we're stuck with the long fella. Alright, so it's supposed to be 1.5 turns out. I only got one hand because I'm trying to mark a couple pages. Alright, so here we go. 1/2, 1.5. So that should be where we need the carburetor set to run. We could try it out again, I guess, if we want. These cables I know need to be routed backwards because that tube comes up. I found one of those on eBay. I'll buy it later today. I do need to look into some grommets for this thing. Wow, that was really loud. I shouldn't have done that. We need to get the... We could probably get the 2-stroke pump bled a little bit. The other thing I'm going to work on is the clutch. And the last thing is trying to fold this up so we can get to here. Trying to figure out the schematic so we can hook up a kill switch. Now for the kill switch on the bike with the ignition, it basically grounds out this black and yellow wire to the black and white wire, which comes from the control units, the CDI. You can see it says for stop, black and white, to black and yellow. So we're going to do a little looking. Maybe we can plug that blue wire. I don't know if you guys can see that or if you remember that, but the blue wire that was just taped into the, I believe, just the black side of this harness. Plug it in somewhere where that way we can actually use that button. And if I have to, I will get a new one because that wire looks frayed. I may end up having to get a new kill switch. So I guess I'll have to add that to my list of things to get. I'll probably get one like I got on the Kawasaki. I think it's a Motion Pro. I think I could be way off. But, yeah, we'll see. See what we got going on there. And, because it's going to need a kill switch, especially if someone else is riding. If I'm riding it, it doesn't need a kill switch necessarily. If someone else is, yes, we need to do that. So, without ado, let's get started on the clutch, see if we get that buttoned up so we can put that back together. And then I'll step back on over here and we will see if we can get the 2-stroke pump bled either today or later this week or something. And then kind of go from there. I'm still looking for a cable. I haven't quite figured that out because all the cables for F6 and F7s and even the spare cables I have that came with the F6 bike, they are all they all have that push-in end. So I don't know quite what's going on with this thing. Because this doesn't seem like it's quite right. Just this here. I seem to be missing something. I'm not sure what it is. I don't know if there's supposed to be an extra piece that kind of goes here. I don't even know if this cable is long enough for that. Pushed in all the way. Yep. I guess it would be. I kind of wonder if I am missing something because it does seem like that cable is a little long. So I don't know. We'll have to look that up. I also have to look up the routing of the cables. The easiest way to do that is just to Google F7s, especially like Barrett Jackson ones. Something that's sold at auction because they have plenty of pictures of the bike. So you can kind of guess how it routes, whether it's above this bar, below this bar. That's just kind of what I do to figure this stuff out. Nonetheless, we are definitely getting closer, so I'm getting excited. Pretty stoked to actually go out and ride this bike, and we got a long ways to go, and got a lot of stuff to get before we get to the point where we can actually race it. So we better get started because it's first week of April. So the carburetor is definitely leaking. I should probably take this cable out first. Cable's not shot. It's this here, this mechanism. So let's take it off this side. Get the right tools. Should be a 10 millimeter, I believe. It's been minute since I've messed with these. You have to find a special screwdriver. So I'll give you a little update where I'm at because I've been working on this. I got this loose. Oh, now it's not. There we go. I think it was a lot of that grease was built up in here and in here. That's what made it kind of stiff. So the next step I did was I was trying to get this loose. I was trying to use the way of using the wrench on here and the screwdriver end, but that wasn't working. So I went ahead and took the vice grips, gripped in here, and then just broke the nut loose and twisted it out. So now I'm just down to getting this disassembled, because this is actually what adjusts that push rod over here in and out the end of it. So I do need this to actually adjust how much depth I'm pushing in as we clutch. I can go ahead and put this cover back on because the rest of this will be just in my adjustments, and I can put the cable back on and we can be pretty close. This I may have to take and wire wheel to get this all busted loose and then try to clean up the threads a little bit. But anyways, that's kind of where I'm at. I'm going to go ahead and put that gasket back on, and we'll go put this clutch cable back in. I think I'm going to route it the proper way up above, so that way it doesn't get smashed. Because it seems to work. I'm going to loosen it up, and go ahead and lube it all here in a bit. So I kind of blew through the whole clutch side over here. I need to put a little oil or something. I got this all loose. Basically ran a thread chaser down the stud, and did the same thing for the nut. Now they don't have to be tight. They just have to be snug. We kind of got this. It's tight. It definitely needs some grease. So I'll worry about that here in a bit. And I don't know how the clutch is on this. Could be bad. One thing I am probably going to look at doing though is looking at getting rid of the oh, that adjuster is done. I'm gonna have to get a new adjuster or something. Speaking of which, I'll have to get new adjusters, I guess, because the little star wheel and the little plastic handlebars, or the clutch lever and the brake lever, are kind of junk. Here's that RTV. I may end up having to RTV that wire in, but we'll see what I can find for gasket wise on that. I actually haven't looked. I was going to, and then again I forgot. Still need to take this back off so we can put that last screw in, and I need to figure out what I'm going to do about a kill switch for this bike, because that's still on my to-do, and figuring out how I'm going to wrap my wires. so that way they don't get caught up in anything. I like how this wraps. This is the appropriate way to do it. I don't know if you guys can see what I'm talking about. It's yelling at me, low battery, but your clutch cable is supposed to go on the inside. That's why they put the braiding here to protect it. So I like how that is. We'll see how it plays out in the grand scheme of things. We may end up having to getting a new clutch cable because this one's been pinched pretty bad. May be able to just grease it up. But we got the clutch side working, so that makes me a little happy. Now on these F7s, it's a lot easier to access this pump, this vacuum pump, which is used to suck out the, if you flood the carburetor or flood the carburetor area, since it's a sealed system, this thing is supposed to suck out any of the old gas. Now the trick to get these out, I'm going to reuse this, and what we're going to work on doing here in a bit is actually going to be my goal with this is to, if I have a good hammer, use this one. Is to actually seal it off. So I get it turned where I get some purchase on it. I get a little bit longer. I'll get this huge pry bar. Of course, I'm kind of working in confined spaces. I guess I should have took it outside, but I didn't want to move a bunch of stuff out of the shop today. These things kind of get stuck in there. Turn that a little bit more. Bug on me. Come on out. It's a lot easier to do this. There we go. A lot easier to do this when the bike is the motor's out. So anyways, we got this pump out. It's got 2 seals on it. Those holes are 201, which is the perfect size, the tap drill size for 1/4 Alright, so now I need to tap into 201 holes. You can't see them, but what I'm going to be working on is those 2 holes in there. So, a little trick here. I get the camera set up, you can at least see what I'm looking at, and I can see that. Alright, so I got some 1/4 taps here. I have a bottoming, and then I have a tap set, I should say. Taper. I think I'm going to start with this. Doesn't really tell you what it is. Now, a trick I learned. Get down on the ground here. So, the trick I learned is to put a little grease on your tap. When you're tapping something you don't want to lose chips in, because the chips will stick to the grease. Should have got a paper towel beforehand. We'll sit there. This may take 2 taps. I may have to use a bottoming tap and a plug. Use the plug tap to start it, and a bottoming tap to get going. But you can kind of see the crankshaft in there. So I'm going to do the top one first. Hopefully, I'm somewhat aligned here. May already be at the bottom of what I can do. So we'll clean this off real quick and we'll put a little bit more on. Clean it off the best we can. Yeah, but these holes aren't very long. They're They're very shallow. So we're gonna tap this one. This one's actually the deeper of the two, just because of its location. Get in a couple turns. Hopefully I'm recording. Can't even tell anymore. Yep. Alright, I'm gonna turn this in. Back it out, break our chip. Go in a little more. Back it out, break our chip. Alright, we're gonna back this one out. I'm gonna have to, that's all goobered up and nasty. It was leaking. So let's swap bot to the bottoming tap. Now bottoming tap is going to be kind of paint. You can see the difference there in those two. One's got a pretty good taper, the other one, the bottoming, it'll only leave a couple threads at the very bottom of the hole that aren't tapped. And that's what we need in this case. So we'll put it back in here. Get lube, get some grease again. I'm gonna flush this out with something. I haven't thought about what I'm gonna do yet, but I also need it to drain because I'm going to put some plugs in it. That's the whole reason I'm going through this step here. Okay, got that. Okay, there we are. We're butted up against the crank. Oop, that's not what I wanted to do. Very noisy train today. I can hear it. Okay, I'm going to stop that one there. Even if I don't go all the way in, that's good. The plugs won't go in any farther than that. So it kind of gives them a self-bottoming. I'm going to get this all cleaned. Alright, now the chickens are excited. I went ahead and made some aluminum plugs for it out of 1/4-20 screws. The easiest way I found to do it is to cut a slit in it before, and then you kind of thread it through the die, hold the die, and then the length that you want to cut off, you leave the side with the slot in it in the die, and then you cut off what you don't want, and then you can run it back through and it cleans up the threads. Now I'm hoping this is kind of dry in here. It looks like it. I got them tapped, so I'm going to go ahead and try to put them in And when I go to seal them, I'm going to stick my finger in here real quick. It's got a little oil in there. I'm going to probably clean it out. I'm going to run these in first, make sure they're going to fit, and then I'll probably clean it out again and come by tomorrow and actually put some Yamabond 4 on it to seal it up. Then we're going to put a rubber gasket between. We'll glue in a gasket that has gas resistant RTV on it. Alright, so I went ahead and put them in with some of that Yamabond, and then I went ahead and took a prick punch and basically put it in there, and you can kind of see the deviations just to hold the screws so they don't go anywhere. And I'll let this set up overnight, and we'll come back and put a gasket in. The next step in this process is I take a 1-inch punch, get a little disc out of here, put it in there. Maybe it's not a 1-inch, maybe it's a 7/8. I probably ought to check that before I do this. Anyways, so I think it's a 7/8 actually. Take the 7/8, maybe it's 3/4. Not 3/4, it is 7/8. Take the 3/4 punch or 7/8 punch, get a disc, glue it up with some of the RTV, put that in the hole, then put the plug back in. Oh no, the bike fell over. No, I'm joking. So I went ahead and I thought, oh, got a bunch of mess here. Gotta get some working room. I thought, well, while I'm going as far as to plug that front, I'm gonna pony up and buy some crank seals. So I bought both sides. Got the little grommet that goes right here. And I got a bunch of screws, a bunch. I went ahead and bought the appropriate part number just in case, because I want to compare this, if this is like M5 by 1 or if it's M5 by 125 or M5 by 2. I'm not sure, and I didn't want to get hosed and buy a whole bunch of screws and not be able to use them, so I got one. So with that being said, I'm gonna go pull this off and lay it over so we can get to the crank seals, and we'll see if we can pull this side out. Alright, so we got the seal out. I just kind of pried it out, nicked the shaft a little bit, just kind of rolled up a paper towel, shoved it in here, and then used some 320 emery cloth to kind of clean it up. Sprayed the same paper towel that I hadn't ripped off with some brake clean, kind of wiped it all up. Took the seal, that's the part number, got it from Partzilla. Just took some 2-stroke oil, put a little on there just to make it easier to slide on that rubber. Then found a big old piece of pipe that was about the same diameter that I needed. And my goal was to keep it the same diameter as the actual seal, the metal part. Tap that in till it's flush, and it is flush now. So we got this all taken care of. I'm going to go ahead and work on putting this back in, which shouldn't be too hard. Have to just fight that grommet there a little bit since I cut it, and we'll figure out the screw situation. So the JIS screw on the left there has a smaller head than the one I bought that's actually a Kawasaki part number. They are the same thread setup, pitch, so that's good. Kind of curious. This is an original, the only original I have. And the heads look fairly similar. So I'm going to run with these new ones I bought. Got everything back together to this far. I need 2. And we'll put it together and I'll kind of show you what else we've done. So I went ahead and slit the gasket for the neutral safety switch. I don't need it. This bike actually doesn't need it at all. Because it doesn't have any of the components that stop that. So on the keyway here, on the key, I went ahead and run a file around it just to kind of take down any nicks or anything that have been on it previously. And I'll put it back in if I can. There we go. Probably put it down, upside down, so it slides on, then it'll rock up as we push this on. Because this thing's a little bit of a bear to put on. If you've never put one on, well, you're in for a treat. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now and kind of finish up here. Got the timing marks also kind of lined up. So we'll see how that plays out. We may have to pull this all off. I kind of got everything put back together here. Gaskets under it. Got the seals put in. I don't know if I have any screws that are this long, so I'm going to have to look into that. Flywheel's back on. I'm going to leave this off because we're going to mess with the clutch. And I'm actually going to replace this shaft because I got one with splines. This one has next to no splines. So, but that's going to be another day. So I'm going to kind of just set this here for now. Probably run these screws in just by hand first so I don't lose them. And then I'm going to call tonight because I have some other obligations. Sorry I broke down most of this side. Didn't think you would want to see that again because I just took it apart last episode. But I got a box of parts to replace a lot of this. There's still some oil in it. It was kind of grungy oil. I got a new shift shaft. So I got to put that in. So I'll have to take out this clutch basket. But I think while I got it out, we're going to probably disassemble the clutch. Give these a little Scotch-Brite and a little bit of an oil cleaning. Because they aren't stuck, but they've been sitting for a little while. So a good oil, a good brake clean, and a little Scotch-Brite on them. Hopefully it'll keep them revived enough to get through the race. I thought I had to register for the race by this weekend, or May 1st, I should say. But that is not true. I think it's May 18th is what I saw on there. So that saves me a little bit of a headache because although I ordered parts about 2 weeks ago for this, there's some that still haven't shipped, so that's kind of frustrating. So I'll have to work on getting those parts acquired, and once we get that, we can... Really, it's just the parts I'm missing is that starter cable guide. There's a starter cable guide that kind of guides that starter cable down in and screws in, and that's how everything clips together. So that's where I'm kind of lost at, waiting for. I think this is probably going to be a 20. Nope, 19. So I'm going to blast this off real quick. That nut almost feels rounded. Checking 18. 19 it is. Just kind of pulling everything apart today. Hopefully putting it back together all the way. I'm going to hold the clutch somehow. This is not the ideal way. Let's see if this works. Nope, it's inner clutch. There we go. But that's kind of the goal for today. I don't think I'll do much talking on this video. It's mostly just going to be working so I can carry on. Gotta get that socket out. That nut is very well used. So, yippee. Alright, we'll pull this basket off. This is I bought a new washer for this. Thing is, there we go. It does still have the tab on it, so that's good. It was usable. I'll save it. Not that I'll use it, but save it in case I need it. And this, oh, don't do that. Basket should just slide right off. There we go. Alright, that's your clutch basket. There's a bushing back here. And you have to remember to get this sleeve inside. So don't lose that. That spaces stuff out. And then this gear here rides on the sleeve as well. You kind of sit like that. There's a washer. You got to remember to put the washer on because that spaces everything out. But I'm not going to get that far, so I'm going to leave that washer on. I just need to get this off. So we'll go ahead and do that. And then while we got the clutch off, we'll go ahead and pull this cover off. I got a new O-ring for this. I did not get an O-ring for this, so I may wait to get a new one since I'm waiting on that starter cable. And I got a new O-ring and seal for this also. We'll pull this apart and then put that back together, and then we'll start in back on the clutch side of it. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the order of this. You're going to have your nut held on by this, which you need to bend, and this tab needs to go in there. The next order of this is this here. It's keyed, so you're good to go on that. You won't ever put it on the wrong way. The shelf on it needs to go to the back because this hole needs to be lined up for that washer so this can hold this from spinning. Okay, I need to get a new paper towel to lay this out. Okay, then you have your keyway. You have to pop that out, your Woodruff key, so that way you can put the seal in. Okay, don't lose that, you'll need that. I like to put it inside there, inside my little stack up. Next you have the seal, which there's not much you can do about. There must be a washer here or something. I don't think that other seal I have has that. Let's look. Nope, the other seal does not have that washer. Oh, you know what? That's the cylinder on the inside. Then there's an O-ring here. That's why it looks all fudged up. Okay, someone took that to really work that one over. So let's get clean up here a little and we'll get started. Okay, hopefully I can just break them loose with the nut or the JS screwdriver and wrench. I went ahead and grabbed my nut driver or my oh no, that one's gonna be stuck. Yep. Okay. Move the camera so I don't smack it. There we go. There we go. And last one is a little tricky. There we go. The only reason it's tricky is because the brake pedal's right there. I shouldn't need it again, but let's keep it on hand. I'm going to go ahead and replace all these. They're probably 6x20 or something like that, and I have a bazillion of them, so I'd rather replace it now than have to fight it later. Someone split the case, likelihood of them replacing some of this stuff is pretty low, especially if they used RTV and not actual like Yama Bond or Cowie Bond or whatever your choice is. There should be a little lip somewhere here I can catch. There we go. There should be two pins. There's a pin here under this boss, and there's another pin under this boss. You can't see them right now, but you'll see them here in a sec. So you kind of got to work them out. Well, that's got some goop in it, doesn't it? I'm almost wondering if one of these crank seals was bad. That's what I was thinking. It kind of smelled like let's see what this smells like. Kind of smells like brake clean. So we'll go ahead and see if we get this thing to work here. There we go. Alright, so you got an O-ring back here that you have to be careful of. Here's your rotary disc if you're curious. Yeah, I don't know what the hell this is. It smells like... It doesn't smell normal. That doesn't help you guys, but it does smell kind of weird. Obviously, we're sucking up oil into there, so we have a bad crank seal somewhere. Could have been sucking up from this pump as well, because that is the lowest point, so could have just been that, but I went to this trouble to replace this, and this O-ring is kind of flat. Oh no, don't want to lose that. Okay. So here's your rotary disc. There is a measurement on this on how to do it. It's way different than a Cowie KD 175. It kind of smells. It smells like engine oil in here, to be honest. There should be a hole here. Oh, there isn't. So I will place this O-ring here that is scorched out. This fiber disc looks okay. It doesn't look all beat up or anything. It doesn't look too wore. There's actually a dimension on this. I'm not going to worry too much about it. I'll kind of just put it back together. But I do want to get this O-ring out right here. I'll replace that as I have that. Maybe if I can find it. So what are we dealing with here? I need this. I need that. I'll kind of go through what O-rings I have. I have some parts from McMaster, and you guys will be able to see that here shortly. This is all carburetor stuff, I believe. I gotta search for that O-ring. Gaskets. Here it is. Just I think the rest of the stuff I have is lock washers. Oh, I got all my lock washers for this side. Good to go. Okay, so let's see if we get that O-ring out, because I'm 99% sure it just sits in here. It's been a while. It's been a couple days since I did a Cowie. About a year. So an appropriate pick. This one ought to work. Get some lube out. If you don't know, this is what seals the outside of the crankshaft system. Oh, there we go. Here it is. This one's kind of deformed. Looks like we got some rust up in there too. both seals that I've gotten for this bike, actually I've bought off Partzilla, so they're new. So I got that going for me on that. Old O-ring out of there. Pulled that out. I'll go ahead and go outside, spray this down with some brake clean, tap this seal out, tap this one in, and then I'll show you the trick that I've learned. It feels kind of supple. It's still, I don't know, kind of confusing what caused it to have those issues. Yeah, kind of stinks, but it is what it is. Kind of cleaned up. I'm gonna wipe that out in there. I don't want that goop getting in there. Alright, so the O-ring for the back of the seal here, or the, I'll try how to put that back in. Yeah. This bad boy is not keyed. I mean, it's keyed, but usually there's one that's a different size. I should have paid way more attention to that when I pulled this off, shouldn't I? Yep. Okay. I may have to get the manual out, actually see what it says, because I did not pay attention to that. I think that's how it went, but I'm going to have to get the manual, because I could be a tooth off. Yeah, we're going to have to go get the manual. Dang it. Alright, well, now I got the seal out. Just kind of slip it in here. Now, it won't want to sit in here perfect. Well, this one did. That's beautiful. That's first. Usually I have to fight them and put a little grease on there to hold it. I still might put a little grease on there to hold it, but oh, okay. Normally they don't do that. It's a surprise to me. So let me go get the manual and figure out where I got to put this, because on the KD they have one tooth missing on this gear and one tooth missing, so you can only put it one way. So I gotta go figure that out. All right, so per the manual here, that's the right page. It actually says when the F6 and F7 discs are installed on the crankshaft, the mark on the disc valve should align with the knock pin on the crankshaft. So then I tried to figure out what the heck the knock pin was. I figured it out. So I reviewed the video because I was having a hard time trying to figure out what was what. And, well, the knock pin is down here. It's between these two. It's the pin that this rides on. So it should sit just like this on here as the knock pin. I'll show you guys real quick. Is down here. Hopefully you guys can see that there's a difference in there. So makes it a little easier to know that now. The screws are 6x20. I'm going to go ahead and put just a dab of grease on this. Kind of hold it in a couple spots. It's a good clean grease. We don't want no dirty grease. Oh man. A little grease in there. That slid there. Grease in there. Just kind of trying to hold it so it doesn't move. Put in the little down here. A little trick I learned years ago. Just kind of smash it in. Should put it under, that's how it really holds it, but this is sitting in there so well, I'm kind of happy about how it's actually working out there. The other thing I got to do before we get too far along here is put a little oil, or I'm going to put some more of the clots on here. Get this shaft technically it's going to be right here. I should have wiped that down first. Got a cat, dang on cat hair here. Okay, there we go. It's all kind of wiped down, cleaned up. A little bit of oil on up here. This is my assembly lube. Okay, I'll put some more on my hand. Just go like this. I'm going to be just very careful to not jostle that O-ring. Make sure it's still good. O-ring still looks good. Looks like it's in its home. And I'm just going to kind of try to gently put this all together. Gotta get the seal past. I just worry about this O-ring getting squished because you'll never see it after that. Okay, 1 second. Let's pop this back off. I don't think I put enough assembly lube on this. Alright, O-ring looks to be still hanging on. Gotta get some more oil on this. It's not wanting to go on as well as I'd hoped. So we'll just oil this up. First start's gonna be kind of crazy. That'll be okay. Okay, this all still looks good. I don't want to touch that O-ring. I don't want it to fall. Oh man. The trick I'm having is this double-lipped seal is giving me a little grief going on here. Just trying to work it on. There we go. There we go. I think we're good. As long as that darn seal in the back didn't come out with that big old O-ring. That'd be pretty close. So most of my experience with these rotary valves is in the KD, mostly just KD 175s, the bike I race. And that seal goes on pretty well. It's not a double lip like this, or at least it doesn't seem like it is. So, the refinements between 1970 and 1978 is pretty interesting on these. Squish out that grease. Supposed to do this in a star pattern. I don't think I've been paying that much attention to it. Okay, got this all back together, so we'll go to this. All right, I was wrong. I'm not quite done yet. I do need to put this gear on and the nut. So let's go ahead and put this here, the key back in the keyway. You guys won't be able to see that, but there is one. Maybe I can manage to put it in. There we go. Too much in my hands. Sometimes a little brass hammer will do. It's not a brass hammer, but it's the hammer that'll get the job done. I don't want to squish the O-ring. Yep. Again, the easiest way to get these started on a keyway is to tap the front down and then get it to slide on. Okay. Alright, now I need a lock washer. Oh, I ate a little too much for lunch. Your lock washer part number that you're going to want is for the round one. Put that guy on there. Make sure you get that keyed. Big part of this. I don't know where I put my other one. It's not necessarily right. I need it right now. We will wipe this nut down. This side is the back. Okay, that'll work. Okay, I don't want to forget this. This is for the oil injection. This definitely needs a new O-ring. I'm gonna have to buy that, so I'm not gonna be able to get as far as I want this weekend. Just because I want to replace this O-ring, because this is what ensures the oil passes from here, the injection side, to the actual crankcase into here. Being as we no longer have hopefully we no longer have a leaky seal, it won't actually get to suck it in. Alright, so I gotta take the screws out from the clutch on this side, which we put together earlier this week. I may just Google what size screw or oil O-ring that is and see if I can find one locally. The fastest. Alright, so we got those 3 screws out. Set that down there. Now, get this out. We just need to push that and pull this. Hopefully, we can get this spring to walk off. Actually, I'll just leave the spring. We'll just keep using this one. It seems to work. Pull this shaft through. There we go. There we go. Alright, so this shaft is just brutally tore up. It's very well used. So I went ahead and just, nope, that's my carburetor stuff. Figure out where I put it. Went ahead, got a new one off eBay. I kind of rolled the dice. I thought anything will be better than what we have shift spline wise. That's usually the biggest problem with these, is the shift splines get all tore up, not wore up. I mean, they can get wore because they're tore up. Pull this off because we won't need that spring. Let's take a look, kind of compare, make sure they look halfway close. Yeah, they don't look that wore. Spring is on the right side. Yeah, this shaft looks a little bit better by far. It's a little bit different, looks a little bigger. So hopefully this will be okay. I'll just take this, slip it back into there, and then we'll just let it walk itself in to there, and then we're back in action there. So that didn't take much. Probably gonna wash this out again. But I will put this all back together in case we need it. You never know. We could always cut this shaft off and get one that's bent or tore up and weld on new splines. But we'll keep a hold of this. Just, it's not going to hurt anything if we don't. Alright, so now we're down to, parts wise, we're down to the clutch. So let's take a look at this. I'm going to go ahead and slip this gear back on, and we'll slip this shaft back on. There we go. And there we go. Right, so the clutch is there. Now what we got left is we'll take this cover off. The aluminum cover looks a little burnt up. That is okay. Still use it. I'll push my clutch pack out. We're going to put it back in one by one from the bottom. So you got to line this all back up here. I did not get it aligned the first time. That's not fun to do one-handed here. So let's put this collar back. Ooh. There are little spring discs in here, and I didn't want to lose those. Now I'm in a conundrum. I need this to play nice here. Come on. There you go. We'll just do it like this. That way it's locked together. Alright. There we go. We're locked on and together. Put this washer in because because that's where that one lives. I have the actual clutch disc looked a little different. So, starting from the bottom here, this is the inner hub, which kind of looks a little tore up. These don't look super wore. There's not really any grooves wore in that, so we're doing okay there. First clutch disc. Back one is steel. Front one is steel. So I'm going to set these down. I'm going to wipe these all off. One at a time. I will Scotch-Brite them and brake clean them and then put them back in. There's a little bit of rust on them, so it is taking it off with the Scotch-Brite. This isn't great Scotch-Brite, but there's a glaze on it. I'm going to take it off. Now you can kind of see. So I'm just kind of cleaning this all up. Okay, so I just got this as tight as I can. Really should have a clutch holding tool. I don't have one. Might be something I'm going to end up making, but I kind of get a screwdriver in here and wedge it. Not the best way to do it, but that's what I did. Then you just kind of figure out which tab is closest to a flat, which would be this one. And then you just peel the tab up and tap it down. Just kind of make sure it's flat against it. Basically just safety wired. I'll turn it so you guys can see a little bit better. Basically just safety wired that thing. That nut shouldn't back out. So as long as you get it as tight as you can, probably good. You don't want to impact on it, of course, but yeah, you don't want to do that. So another trick I like to do is on this guy here. This gets a lot of wear, so I like to put a little grease on it. It's not going to get oil right away. Just kind of like when you do a cam lobe or a cam. Put that on there. I feel like it gives it a little bit of a head start on everything in life, because it's going to be abused. And these are not directional. Sometimes these, I thought it said they were directional, sometimes it isn't. you don't know what I'm talking about at the moment, but what I'm looking at is clutch cover. Sometimes they're supposed to go a certain way. I don't know that it really matters. There we go. Get that on. And I'll go ahead and put this on. Now these are tightened to Newton meters, which is very small. I guess I shouldn't even have to show you guys this because you already know about all this. I've already done it once, so I'll probably just fast forward through all this. That was smart. Okay, so I thought there was a torque spec for these. Service manual, could not find it. It went right from disassembly to instructions, which just said make sure the 3 thrust washers are in the right spot, right to the rotary valve. So that didn't help very much on that part. So we are kind of at a conundrum there. But it's not that big of a deal. We can live without knowing it. I just kind of guesstimated and didn't give them all the full ugga-duggas, but just kind of made sure they were snug. They're snug. One ugga. So, kind of doing some cleanup around the shop here. Situating myself so I can get back to work here. Alright, so I need to clean that cover. I might just risk it with this. I can pull this side cover off. It's not that hard. I just have to readjust everything. Might give this another brake clean bath down in here. It's pretty. It was pretty potent earlier, and I had to take a break due to it being potent. Steal the straw. I'll use this can. So I went ahead and torqued that down, tightened. Nipped the washer over. I'm going to go ahead and put the side cover back on. That way we can kind of get the bike back together. See if it'll start up and see how it runs. So there's going to be quite a bit of background noise because the chickens are really irritated right now. But I went ahead, I don't know if I talked about it, but I previously went ahead and wired up the kill switch. Don't have the airbox in yet, so I got to take care of that. Black and white wire coming out of the CDI. Should be the kill switch. Should be. Anyways, got the carb on. Got some fuel in it. I already shut it off so that way it doesn't outrun me. And yeah, hopefully this will fire up and we'll be able to run it a little bit. Alright, so the clutch was sticking previously. I didn't think it was when I first took off everything, but clutch definitely works a lot better now that we've taken it apart. I'm going to give this a little bit of giggle gas here. Hopefully I turned everything back on. Yep. Give it a little bit of a oomph. Should have gas in it. Let's see if it goes to the moon or not. Oop. Oop. Doesn't sound like it wants to today. Hopefully we didn't screw something up here. Well, it idles now. Might just be a little cold. I don't have a choke for it, so whew. Carburetor might be off a little too, or the timing. Whew. Whew. Taking a bit out of me today. Still may have some carburetor issues. I'm glad it kind of pops off with the kill switch setup. Starting to stink in here from what little it has kicked. I don't know if we're getting... Timing might be off, like I said. Try one more time here. Well, we went from a running bike to a not running bike. Whew. I got a bit of a workout. Whew. Like I said, I don't know that I got this all set up quite right. That's getting... There we go. Get our idle down here again. Oop. Let's see if that helps. Alright, well, we're pretty ethered up in here. Guess I'll have to go back to check my timing. I really need to go through the carb. Kind of been waiting to get all the accoutrements for that. Again, we're waiting on one. I may just order it and call that a day. I'm pretty sure we're still getting spark. Something I'll have to double check. Hopefully we are. Hopefully I didn't screw something up there. Yeah, it's... Might clean the carb again. I don't know. I'm gonna give it one last go. This is it. It's gonna... That's not it. Alright, hopefully you could hear me over the rain and the chickens. It's Easter Sunday, and I thought, well, I'll give it another chance here. So I pulled the plug. It's a little dark. It does not smell like two-stroke oil. It's caked up on the top, you can see here. So I think I've been burning oil. I kind of almost wonder if this is fouled. So I'm gonna give this a cleaning, put it in. Two issue is I have no starter still. I mean, that's something I've been talking about. I have no choke. So is it cold-blooded? Well, that could very well be. So trying to figure out what steps I want to take to kind of see what we got going on here. I can wait till next weekend, but I don't really want to do that. Maybe I should, because hopefully by then that starter, this is all it is. It's just this little bend that goes in here. It should be coming. So, oh, I don't know. I'll clean this plug, and I thought about putting the milk house heater over here, kind of trying to warm it up, because this is cold to the touch. Not so cold you wouldn't want to touch it, but it's pretty cold. So, I got the air box to put on yet at some point. We got a little bit of work. I gotta get a lock washer for the exhaust and another spring. I've seen those springs somewhere before, but I just could not find them at the either the Napa or the True Value, Ace Hardware, I guess I should say. So, kind of run out of. I might go to a different one in a bigger city, see how that looks. But I'm gonna clean this plug, pop it in, and I'll. And I have no choke on this guy. I don't know how much gas would be in the carburetor. That's something we could check today. I sprayed some brake clean down the throttle, or into the cylinder, and kicked it over a couple times by hand, trying to, if there's oil, excess oil from the crankcases, because I'm thinking we were sucking it up and that was giving us some grief, hoping that that would push it out to the exhaust a little ways, and hopefully we could blow it out here soon. Give it a little bit of that goose gas. We'll give it a kick. Well, that seems a little better. Let's see if we can hook up some fuel. Probably ought to check the float first at the same time. And then I might sweat the gas tank today. Try to get some of that. Boy, this exhaust stinks. It is old exhaust, I'll tell you that. Okay, so I gave it some gas, filled it up a little. Let's see if we can get it to at least idle for a little bit. Oh, this kickstand is in the way. Right where your foot needs to be. Let's see if this. Make it happy. So I am running premix 40-1 on this. Not sure if we're just cold. Or what? That. Ought to be enough now, you'd think. Might have fouled up again. Tastes like ether in here. Alright, well, this kickstand is the worst kickstand on this bike. Alright, since I got the fuel hooked up, the rain decided to pick up, and it's dripping in here a little. So that's cool, I guess, if you like being wet. I'm gonna go ahead and take this out. We are getting fuel in here. Boy, that stuff looks like junk. Might be part of our problem. Yeah. Very yellow. Maybe we aren't getting fuel, because I'm gonna find out here. Nope, we're getting fuel all right. It's very yellow. Might not be very good gas. It's premix 40-1. Alright, so I built this for my KD. Pretty sure it's going to work for this. Had to machine this banjo bolt down. All we're going for, I'm going to loop this up here. This will give us a idea about where our float level is. That's snug. Alright, let's see if we're flooding, if our float's pretty close. I don't think we're letting enough fuel in there. are definitely not letting it. It should be pretty close to this level. It should be right in this ballpark. But it doesn't look like we are. So we're going to have to pull the carb and adjust that float level. And we're leaking a little, but it should be more than that. Alright, so let's do that here. I'll shut this off. We have to drain this. I got to thinking, we are on a pretty extreme angle on this. So we probably ought to lean it upright like this to actually see where our float level is. It's still pretty low. It's not quite coming out of the carburetor. So I am going to have to adjust it. But that's okay. Well, we're a little bit better. I adjusted it. I don't like how the dang dropping on the seat, splashing my eyes. I don't like how the floats look. I need to do some more research on that, so I might come back to this next weekend, which will be a next video deal, but figured I'd at least give it a shot here and try to figure out what's going on. Obviously, it's not working out as well, but it's okay. I'm going to let this all drop my screwdriver in the gas. Kind of making a mess in here, so I'm going to kind of reevaluate my life decisions here, and I think I'm going to end the video here. Next video, I do got grommets for up here to try out from McMaster. Hopefully we get it running, and then we can ride it. 'Cause that's the fun part about these bikes. But we got some issues going on. I don't quite know what they are. Whether it just be a cold motor, because this is cold. I think it was in the 40s last night. I believe it was. It's probably still around 40. So next weekend's supposed to be in the 70s. So hopefully I can get everything set up and we can at least have a choke. I did get a new spring for this. That one is very rusty and looks like it's shortened. So we may have issues with that. I'll look into a float. We'll kind of get that all situated. But nonetheless, there will be a part 4. Trying to get this thing ready for a race in 6 weeks, roughly. So, thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more.